Welcome back to Fast Money. Crypto regulation, a hot topic at the World Economic Forum in Davos this week. This is the price of Bitcoin. Stays nailed near that $11,000 level, or as we like to call it, Bitcoin purgatory. Seema Modi's got more on that story. Seema.
Melissa, Bitcoin catching the attention of some of the most powerful names in the world of finance. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, IMF Director Christine Lagarde, both said they were focused on cryptocurrencies and regulation.
We want to make sure they're not used for illicit activities. So in the United States, our regulations, if you're a Bitcoin wallet, you're subject to the same regulations as a bank.
I totally agree with what Stephen was saying about the fact that the anonymity, the lack of transparency, and the way in which it conceals and protects money laundering, financing of terrorism, and all sorts of dark trades is just unacceptable.
BlackRock CEO Larry Fink said while there are risks, blockchain technology is real and cryptocurrencies should not be dismissed.
It has created a fascination with millions and millions of people. It's real. It's going to transform how we do our business, and we should not turn our back to it. We should embrace it and work toward a global solution.
A coordinated global approach to regulating cryptocurrencies will likely be the central focus for government agencies in the coming months. China, South Korea have already announced they're cracking down on cryptos and banning ICOs, while the U.S. has been slow and calculated in its efforts to regulate this new market. Although just in the last month, SEC Commissioner Jay Clayton has been much more vocal on this topic, issuing a warning on virtual currencies and also writing last night that the SEC is, quote, devoting a significant portion of its resources to the initial coin offering market. Melissa, back to you.
All right, Seema, thank you. Seema Modi. For more on what the crypto crackdown could mean for Bitcoin, let's bring in Civic CEO and Shark Tank South Africa panelist Vinnie Lingham. Vinny's been dubbed the Bitcoin Oracle because of his spot-on predictions in the past. So, Vinny, it's so great to have you on Fast Money.
Hi, Melissa. Good to be here. Thank you.
So it looks like a crackdown or increased regulation at the very least is coming. What will the impact be on cryptocurrencies, and will it affect all coins in the same way across the board?
Yeah, so I think what's happening is in developing markets around the world where regulations haven't been as well enforced as in the US, we're seeing that the growth in crypto in these emerging markets has really forced governments to take a closer look at what's happening at the local exchanges. Now, in the US, Coinbase, etc., they've been doing KYC and regulations for years. So it's very familiar territory in the United States. But in emerging markets where a year ago, 18 months ago, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, no one even knew what they were. Now they're having to cope with millions of people coming online and trying to buy these cryptos, and the regulations and the exchanges haven't really been enforcing the AML, anti-money laundering, and ID verification for KYC for your customers.
Right, know your customers is KYC. So as this crackdown around the world happens, Vinny, does that put a cap or a ceiling on how high prices can get in 2018?
So I think on the retail side, retail investors, we've seen exchanges like Bittrex, etc., have to literally close registrations because they had hundreds of thousands of people signing up within 24 hours, etc. So I think the retail investors are going to have to wait in line while they get ID verified and KYC processes going through these exchanges. But the institutional investors and the sovereign wealth funds, etc., they don't really have these restrictions. They can get, if they want to do a large buy of $5 million, $10 million, they can get verified pretty quickly through these exchanges and still make those buys. So to some extent, I think it'll impact the retail market as it grows, but I think the institutional market's probably okay.
You own Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, as well as Ethereum. It sounds like your least favorite is Bitcoin. Then you like Ethereum, and you think Bitcoin Cash is undervalued. How do you come up with that sort of analysis in terms of valuation?
So personally, when I look at Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash, and I've written about this, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash are actually, they're focusing on two totally different markets right now. These two products are serving different needs in the market. The one need is global, fast, cheap payments with some trade-offs, and the other need is anti-fiat sort of censorship-resistant money where everybody can run a node to monitor and validate their own transactions. So when I look at it from a product standpoint, I think the greater demand is for peer-to-peer cash than for digital gold. But this is something which we will not be certain of until a couple of years and this plays out.
You don't own, it sounds like, you don't own some of the privacy coins like a Zcash or Monero. Well, what do you think is in the pipeline for them in terms of regulation? I mean, if regulators are so concerned about the use of cryptocurrencies and criminal activities, do you think perhaps privacy coins might face harsher regulations or a harsher spotlight than some of the others?
In some ways they should, but again, this is crypto. It's really hard to sort of clamp down on this because it's very easy for Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and any crypto to become a privacy coin as well. So where does it start and when does it end? I think Monero and Zcash obviously front runners in that race, but it's something I don't think you can really stop.
All right. Vinny, while we have you here, we've got to play a little buy, sell, or hodl. So I'll tell you the cryptocurrency, and you tell me what you're doing with it right now or how you feel about it. Bitcoin, buy, sell, or hodl?
Hodl for me.
All right. Now to Bitcoin Cash, buy, sell, or hodl?
Buy.
Buy. Okay, great. And Ethereum, buy, sell, or hodl?
Hodl.
And then lastly, to round it out, Litecoin, buy, sell, or hodl?
Sell.
Sell. Is that because Charlie Lee sold his position? I mean, when the founder sells, you kind of, I mean, that's not a very positive sign.
We throw up wrecked for that.
We should do, yeah, we should do wrecked.
Yeah, when it comes to Litecoin, obviously Charlie's a big, big influence that he sold, but I just don't see the big differential between Litecoin and Bitcoin, for example. It's the same technology. It's just mined with a different algorithm. That's all. So I'm not really. I've never been very, excited about Litecoin itself.
All right. And are there any other altcoins out there, Vinny, that you sort of are looking at, interests you think could be the next in your top 3 or 4?
Yeah, I have definitely looked at ZRX, 0x. It's technology for decentralized exchange protocols. This is interesting because if the government regulations do come in and they become too harsh in some countries, decentralized exchanges wind up taking the place of centralized exchanges, because with a decentralized exchange, there's really no control over it by any government. So it's kind of like, it's an interesting concept because you can use smart contracts to conduct exchanges of coins and cryptos. So decentralized exchanges is a very big, I think, at the moment it's pretty small, but I think it becomes a very big trend later on this year as we see more regulations come in.
All right, Vinny, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time. We hope you'll come back to Fast Money soon.
Thank you.
Vinnie Lingham, who is known also as Bitcoin Oracle, giving us a little buy-sell hodl. Tim, what do you think?
Well, I think, first of all, it sounds to me like, or my view is regulation equals validation here. And I think, centralized versus decentralized, I also believe, and people may feel these are opposing theories or concepts, but I think if the regulators want you to be centralized, you're going to be centralized. I think people that say there can be no regulation, you can't shut down the internet, man. I don't believe that. I think ultimately that the regulators can control how this needs to be controlled. That doesn't mean the concept of decentralization in terms of transaction or peer-to-peer cash, et cetera, isn't alive and well, and that's why we're doing this.
Karen?
Well, I just think you have the other force, beside the intervention in whatever form that may be, of a lot of new money coming into the space. And I think that still,
yeah,
yes, I think
even despite the purgatory and the scary music we play and all that,
despite the music, yes, and even with the the very, very volatile markets that we've seen, even for cryptocurrencies, volatile markets, I think that is going to be a significant factor.
Well, BK was saying, because he just got back from Switzerland at a crypto conference, and he was saying that there's so many institutionals now, European institutions.
This has been a retail market to this point. Let's be clear.
Stepping in.
Yeah.
So for me, I'll leave it to guys like Tim and BK to figure that out. I like the blockchain. I think that regardless of where these individual coins go, blockchain is not going away. Overstock and Square is how I'm playing it. Overstock up 15% year to date. Square 30% year to date.
AMD reports on January 30th. Morgan Stanley just raised numbers ahead of that, 22% short interest. I think if you're looking for a beta play on the back of Ethereum and Bitcoin, AMD is the thing. And a quick question to you.
Yes.
If this Bitcoin craze is so amazing, BK, where was he?
Switzerland.
Yeah, what did he bring the collective? Can you just show that to the folks playing our home game?
This is what he brought for all of us.
Please.
You know, it's almost insulting.
He brought us, get a clip.
Upside down.
Flip it around.
Just for scale's sake, here's a bottle of water, and here's the Toblerone, so you can really get a true sense of the size of this beauty.
Yeah.
He expects us to share
Well,
this.
obviously, well, I won't say it. I mean, maybe he's had a bad week in his Bitcoin. I mean, you come back with one Toblerone, people. I mean,
and it's not even a
don't believe
giant,
that's
one of those
the case
giant
in
ones.
Brian,
It's
but,
just a normal size.
Anyway.
All right.
Toblerone's overrated, by the way. Just
No, I
not for
think they're
nothing.
delicious.
You know, how about a Nestle's Crunch?
You just gave up your
Hershey's?
shares.
I know.
We need Swiss chocolate. Make American chocolate great again. Come on.
All right, no more talking. From a crypto crackdown to a pot buzzkill, one hedge fund manager's shorting some high-flying cannabis stocks. So what has him so uptight about the space, and should you dare to short pot? That's later. Plus, we're all over the after-hours action. Intel, Starbucks, Western Dig, all in the move. We'll bring you the very latest from the company conference calls. Much more Fast Money right after this.